Now that we have understood and set up our accounts for different large language models, including ChatGPT and BARD, the next thing we're going to do in this section is start working with some of the most basic prompts that we can use with these large language models and their use cases. And this chapter will then help us build our baseline that we can further work on as we work on more advanced prompting techniques in the coming section. So what are some of the most basic prompting tasks that we can ask ChatGPT or BARD to do for us? If you look at it, there are 5 or 6 basic categories that we can divide all prompts in. The first one is summarization. What are we asking the model to do here? We're going to give him a long form content and ask it to summarize it for us, condense it in a few lines or a few words. Information extraction. We can provide these models with a lot of data. Let's say I paste in 1000 words and I ask it specifically a very specific question that can be answered based on the information that I provided. So it can extract that information from us, from the data that we want. The next thing is question and answering. For example, if I'm solving a math question or if I'm doing sort of a homework for my class, I can ask it a specific question and it will give me that specific answer based on the context that I provide. Text classification. It can classify a text in different categories. For instance, it can say that a Google review is good, bad, or neutral. It can read a paper or a text that you provided and then come back with a few adjectives to best describe it. For instance, it can say that this speech from Donald Trump was angry or funny, or let's say he was sad. So that's what text classification refers to, and the models do a pretty good job in it. The next thing is conversation, and this is why conversation is the part that made ChatGPT go viral. These natural language programming allows ChatGPT to converse with humans in a very human format. So you can actually have a conversation with it about any topic in the world, and it will try and continue the conversation with you. So that's something we will explore next. After that, we look into code generation. So if you're new to coding, this is your opportunity to learn and understand how coding works. By using these large language models, coding has become really, really easy because all you need to do is understand the basic tasks that are required to do the coding, and the rest of the code is actually written by the model itself. You just need to know the basic theories of coding. If you are a coder, then you can exponentially increase the pace at which you code, because you can provide precise instructions to the model on what type of code to write, and the model will go down and do that for you in a very fantastic way. And we will discover this later in one of the sections. Lastly is reasoning. So if you have taken any aptitude test or SAT, they specifically test you on critical thinking. If you can think and step by step and come up with the reasoning as you go along in the text. ChatGPT 4 specifically is very good at that. You can give it a English word problem. For instance, if you remember from school days or university days, we had word problems like John is twice the age of his brother, his father is double the age of his brother, and father's age is 70. What is John's age today? So the model can extract the right variables and the information provided in such sort of word problems and use its reasoning capability to answer them for us. So in this section, we're going to go through in each lecture one of these topics that you see on your screen, and we'll further dive into it and figure out how ChatGPT and BARD responds to different questions that we ask them. So without further ado, let's dive into the course.